when he asks how many men you have been with. Hello, my name is Chengi, and you, my precious one, of course, are my world. Welcome to Chengi's World. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and make sure you share. Okay, and let's get this party started. I would love to hear what you have to say. I will do a video on your comments, the best comments on my videos, just to let you know that I am always in the comment section, interacting, listening, and just getting to know how y'all are ticking. But if you are new to my channel, do welcome. It's kind of autumn in the UK at the moment. I'm in London and it is raining and quite noisy, but we're gonna get through this. And so let's talk about when he asks you how many men you have slept with and why he would do this. Okay, so this is a question that came up in Chengi's Angels. One of the girls was online and he asked her that question. Now, let's just put this up front, to the front. Let's just get this out of the way. This is really a low value question. This is a question that's really low value. So for you boys who watch my channel, please don't ask girls that question. It's so low value. Okay, it really indicates a lot of things. But for you girls who are receiving that question, we're gonna just talk about why at first you were getting that question, and then I'm gonna tell you exactly what to say. I'm also working on my book. I haven't quite named it yet, but it's going to be exactly what to say in scenarios that are going to come up in your dating life. So it's going to be a little handbook, and you're going to know exactly what to say when you get sort of awkward questions like the following. But in the meantime, I'm just going to answer this question because I think it's really a worthwhile question answering. Now, why is he asking that? Some men ask that because of their own insecurities. They don't think they have the appropriate equipment, or that they cannot perform. And if you've had multiple sexual partners, your expectation of them in the bedroom is going to be way higher than a woman who is a virgin or just had very few experiences. So he's asking usually because he wants to know if he can perform at the level that you have become accustomed to, okay? And he's also, you know, if he feels inadequate about his God-given equipment, okay, he is gonna be even more insecure about it if he feels like you've been round and had different shapes and sizes and his one might not quite be what you're used to. So they're checking for that too. Not every guy. We're going to be talking about some of the reasons. It's just one of the reasons a man can ask you this. And sometimes that's going to come from a younger, less experienced man who wants to, I don't know, understand what's going on for himself. So, you know, it's usually coming from that place, which guys would know that it is low value to come across insecure or feel like you're inadequate. I really don't believe personally that there's such a thing as somebody's great in bed, because what works for Jane doesn't always work for Sally, and we're all different. And I think that ultimately once the emotional connection and the spiritual connection is right, really the rest is a learning curve, and that's part of the fun. But yeah, there are guys who are insecure, and that's one of the whys. The next one is convenience. He wants to see if he's trying to figure out how long it's going to take for him to get into your knickers. So a woman with more experience who's like, oh, I've slept with like 150 guys, in his mind, okay, she's going to be easy, she's going to give it to me quickly, so I'm sort of assessing how convenient it's going to be for me to get into her knickers. So if you're out here in these streets giving out numbers, then, you know, he's assessing your how easy it is for him to get into your knickers. I think that's the best way that I can say it. Now, again, this is a low value guy. This is a guy that is who's just interested in you for the sex without any other commitment or any other relationship on the table. So again, this is a question that low value men ask. I will personally tell you 100% without a lie, I have never ever had a man ask me how many men I've been with. And there's a reason for that, and we're going to discuss that a little bit later. Okay, the third reason, these are not the only reasons, and I'm sure you guys watching can put in the comment section what are some of the reasons that you would ask. But this is the third reason, is usually they're checking for virtue. So, you know, that's kind of the easiest ways to go. So if you've been on this channel long enough, you will know that men marry virtue, not vaginas. Men are, when they're looking for wife material, looking for long-term girlfriend material, they're going to be looking for a woman that's virtuous, and that's not a virgin. Many men don't expect to meet a virgin. In the 21st century, of course, if they do, even better. And trust me, there are a lot of 30, 40, 50-year-old virgins that I know personally. So it's not like a unicorn experience. They are here. But men generally don't expect to meet a virgin. But they are looking to see if you are somebody who is virtuous. Now, virtue being somebody who has a standard, person who, now virtue can be shown in your standard. Whatever you put a man through to get into your knickers is what he's going to assume that you've been putting other men through. And whatever your standard is for him is what he's going to expect, is the standard that you've been setting for every other guy. So if you're calling out crazy numbers out here in these streets, then he's going to think that you lack virtue. And, you know, quite frankly, I used to feel like, you know, that's not true. A woman could have had multiple partners and still be virtuous. And now I genuinely don't believe that's true if a woman is perpetually having sex. Now, ladies, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about double standards and how come men get to do it and they're not judged. Because whether you like it or not, women and men are judged on different standards. Just like how we judge men on their accomplishments. Oh, we will quite happily judge a man who doesn't have money or who lives with his mama. We judge men on a whole different scale. We judge them for their accomplishments. We judge them for their manhood. We judge them for their what they have to offer. We judge men brutally on a different level, and women get judged sexually. We're not equal and we're not the same. So I don't want to hear it. You're welcome to put it in the comments, and if you put it in the comments and I don't like it, I'm going to remove it. But I really don't want to hear it, because each gender judges another. And fortunately or fortunate as the case may be, men just, you know, can't get away with being broke, busted, and disgusted, and we can't get away with having a massive body count. Do what you like with that information. Take it or leave it, just as how it is. And really, your ability to pair bond as a woman when you've got huge numbers means you're gonna have a hard time bonding. You know, it's just so risky and irresponsible to do it. But I'm not here to judge your lifestyle. I am here to just say that, come on, let's call a spade. You know, of course, we've lived. All of us have lived. We would all like to say we've only had one or two, of course. We would all like to give lower numbers. But here's what I am going to say as a caveat to everything that I've said. If you have had 1,000, 1,000,000, you were a prostitute in a former life and you were like sleeping with 20 guys a night for years, and you decide that you don't want to be that woman anymore, your past shouldn't define you. Your past shouldn't, you should still feel like you have access to virtue. You know, the moment you decide, I don't want to be that girl and my number count is just going to be for the man that is going to marry me or stick around or give me longevity, exclusivity, whatever your standard is, you shouldn't feel bad about that, because at the point you decide to be virtuous, that is making you a virtuous woman. The moment you decide I'm going to be virtuous, I don't care how many men you've slept with, we can just shut that down. At the point that you set a standard for who gets to enter your body, who gets access to your body, that is when you become a virtuous woman, especially if you uphold that standard. So, like I said earlier, I am never asked that question because, quite frankly, I date high value men. I pretty much more or less date men who are men, grown and high value most times. So that's something that wouldn't necessarily come out of your mouth. But I also have very, 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 very high standards And those standards signal virtue to that man, that this girl is not out here in these streets just letting men take her time and attention. I mean, I put a premium on my time and attention. I put a premium on, before we even get to sex, just getting my time and attention is not an easy thing to do. Not because I play games, but I just have standards and a quality and a certain kind of man that I have time for. And so he's already had to jump enough hoops to get my time and attention. So he's not out here trying to now qualify me, because standards signal virtue to men, you know. So if you are a woman with no standards and you don't present standards at all, like, you know, he wants to see you and you drive halfway across the world to go and see him when he's ready, naked with nothing underneath, whatever, you've never really met him ever, it's the first time you're seeing him, and I mean, like, girls are doing crazy stuff out here in these streets, okay? If you're that girl, it doesn't matter what your body count is. It doesn't matter what you tell him is your body count. He's just going to assume you have no virtue because your behavior is such. You know, if you show up with your tits and bits out on a first date, second date, and it's all out here to play, he's just going to assume you don't have virtue. So it doesn't matter what number you bring out. 2. He's just not going to believe that. So it's more than what comes out of your mouth. If you show up as a high value woman, then usually your virtue will never be truly in question. So, you know, when I get somebody ask me what's my body count, I will look at the energy and the presentation of that person and how they're showing up in the world. And if it's not that and they're showing up as virtuous high value, then it's that person's insecurity, which shows her that he is low value. And, you know, even if you don't give men the answer they want, they're going to come round the side with what's your fantasy. Quite frankly, low value men want to talk sex real early. So that's just like, okay. Every man wants to get laid. Just like every woman wants a man who can provide, every man wants to get laid. Now, high value men don't lead with their desire to be laid, just like high value women don't lead with their desire to be provided for. They, you know, we all lead with our lovingness and our ability to show love and to be caring and to be a good, compassionate, caring, thoughtful, respectful partner. That's what makes us high value. And high value men, you know, lead with their gentlemanliness, their chivalry, their thoughtfulness, their, you know, protectiveness. You know, they lead with all of those things. And then, of course, the natural exchange happens. So, you know, a high value man is not gonna come to the table and start talking sex straight away. You know, he's gonna obviously want to be a gentleman. He's gonna want to. So already, if a guy's saying, so what's your fantasy? No. And, you know, you would have to, and girls, as far as I'm concerned, your sexual partners have nothing to do with your current relationship. Like, it shouldn't, for me, it's something that doesn't ever need to come up, and therefore it's not a question that you should ever ask a man if you're high value. You know, I don't think that there's at any stage ever relevant for you to tell whether it's a man you just met, a boyfriend, a husband. At any stage, that information becomes relevant, okay? So as far as I am concerned, you don't need to answer that question ever, okay? And if it's going to be a thing, then let it be a thing. And if it's going to end the relationship, then it wasn't really built on firm foundations anyway. Now, I'm not about rules. You have to feel your relationship. You have to feel the man you're with. You have to feel the energy in that relationship, and, you know, judge and trust yourself whether you want to answer that question. But I have only one answer that I tell my girls to give the men who ask them, and that is far less than you, I'm sure. That's it. How many women and how many men have you slept with? Far less than you, I'm sure. That's it. Okay? We don't need to, and don't ask him back. And if he pushes and pushes and pushes, tell him, I'm not comfortable answering that question. I hardly know you, and I don't think it's relevant. And really, you don't have to answer that question. I feel that unless you are completely comfortable and you trust that person, they're not entitled to your backstory. And, you know, you are already being judged on so many other things. And I just feel like where you've been, sexually really has nothing to do with the person unless you feel safe to share. You feel that it would enhance your relationship in one way, shape, or form. Then of course you can ask. But quite frankly, you know, whatever number you give a man, he's gonna multiply that by 5 anyway, or 7, right? And whatever number he gives you, you know, you probably need to divide that by 4, you know. Like, men will overinflate the experience and women will underinflate. So if we both know that we're not going to tell each other the truth, then why engage in that conversation? And even if I was to tell you the truth and you're going to judge me unfairly, not knowing where I've been. Now, obviously, you know, and don't assume there are people that have STIs after one encounter. You know, I know a lot of women that were faithful wives that got STIs, a lot of women who've had one sexual encounter. So STIs are not about, oh, you've been around town. They're just a health and wellness situation. So again, don't feel pressured to answer that question. And I don't feel that you should feel pressured whether you're married, have been married for 1,000 years. If you don't feel comfortable and you feel that it's going to shift the way the other person perceives you and take them further away from who you really truly are, then that's something that you don't have to answer. And quite frankly, never ever personally been asked. And I know a lot of my clients whose partners have never asked because it's just not relevant to what we're trying to create here. I hope this video was helpful. I'll see you soon on my next one. Of course, follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, keep watching, share these videos. Let's grow Chengi's World. Let's grow this wonderful tribe. Join me on Chengi's Angels, High Value Girls Pray. And if you need any dating tools, we've got tons of dating tools in the shop. Book one of the coaches, myself, Coach Rena, or Coach Shani, and let's get talking about relationship. Get you ready, prep you up, and get you comfortable and confident dating. I will see you on my next video. In the meantime, mwah, take care of you. Bye.